welcome to my kitchen. My name is Andrea, and today I'm going to show you how to make what I call old school pot roast. Basically, it's just a pot roast in a crock pot. So super easy to make. Takes a little time, but it's really mostly hands off. So you can just kind of get it going and then go on and do whatever you need to do for the day. So I have a crock pot that is a 6-quart, so it's not a large one, but it's not a little one. So it's kind of in that in-between size. Mine also has the part that sets out, which I like for cleaning, so much easier. Those that are one piece are really not as easy to clean. So I'm going to go ahead and be getting my saute pan hot with some oil. I'm going to be using avocado oil for this. So just a good drizzle in there because I want to be able to coat the whole bottom of the pan because we're going to sear this roast off. All right, so that's going. So I have a chuck roast. This one is just shy of 4 pounds. So for me, that seems small. Growing up, I remember chuck roasts always being at least twice this size. So closer to the size of what you would see a pork shoulder. So, but this will be enough to feed several people, or a couple of people for several nights. So this does have a bone in it, so we're just going to leave that. We're not going to trim anything off. There's not a lot of fat at all. It's pretty lean. So we're going to go, while that's getting hot, we're going to go ahead and season this. So we're going to season it with salt. I'm just using pink Himalayan salt. I would recommend sea salt or kosher salt. Just try to avoid that iodized table salt because it really leaves an aftertaste. So, and then we're going to add some black pepper. If you find that black pepper is a little too hot, you can always cut back on that. I'm also going to add some granulated onion powder. Just give a good coating there. And some granulated garlic. I just like that, just adds a little more flavor. There we go. And we are going to flip this over and season the other side. It may seem like a lot of salt, but you've got to remember this is a fairly thick piece of meat, so it will take a fair amount of salt. Okay, and then more black pepper. And we're going to add the rest of the onion powder. There we go. So our meat is seasoned. The pan is hot. I don't know if you can see the smoke coming off of it. So it is ready to go. And it is on medium. So we're just going to grab this here. And it's going to take up the whole pan. And we're just looking for a nice sear. So you want it to have a nice color on it, browning it. We're going to sear it on all sides before we put it into our crock pot. So in the crock pot, I've already added some hot water and then turned it on high. So the amount of water is about 1/4 of the way up. So I like to do that just so that it kind of gets it going a little faster. If I put cold water in here and turn it on low, it'll take hours just for that to warm up. So I like to kind of give it a head start and get it going. So just add some hot water. I heated mine up in a tea kettle on the stove. You could use a saucepan and heat up some water just to that simmer point. Pour it in there, put it on high, and you're going to knock off several hours of your cook time just warming up. So, all right. So let's see where we're at. And this takes a few minutes to get seared on all sides. There we go. Flip it over. And you can kind of see where it's got some nice coloring on it there. Oh yeah, that's got a nice color on that side. So what we're going to do, this is the tricky part. So we're just going to flip it up and just try to get those sides browned a little bit. It may not sound quite as loud. It is on a medium heat. And you can see that was the fat side. So you can see how the fat has kind of changed color and melted just a little bit. So alright, so we are seared on all sides. And we are going to put this into our crock pot. So we're just going to put this in here. And you want the water to just cover the meat, and actually mine does, since this meat is not a thick piece. It's, you know, cut fairly thin, so it's already where it needs to be. I'm going to leave this on high and for about an hour. That way it really starts to get going. Once that hour mark hits, I'll turn it down on low, and then I'm not going to check it again for another 2 hours, so that'll be a total of 3 hours in the crock pot. I'm going to be checking it to see kind of how it's cooking, how far along it is, because I need to determine when I need to put my carrots and potatoes and onion and celery in there. So we'll check it a total of 3 hours. Just remember to check it at the hour, turn it down on low, go 2 more hours, then we'll check it. So we'll be back in a few hours. So our pot roast has been cooking for actually 4 hours. So 1 hour on high, I turned it down on low, and then I checked it at the total 3 hour mark, and it was still pretty tough, so I let it go for another hour, and it's actually starting to get tender. And you could probably eat it at this point, but it needs to go longer. So now we're going to add our vegetables. So I have about a dozen kind of just new potatoes that I picked up from the farmer's market. I've just quartered those. I have a whole Vidalia onion. You could just use a yellow onion if you don't have a Vidalia onion. And I just kind of sliced those. And then about 4 stalks of celery that I just cut up into about 2-inch pieces. And then a 12-ounce bag of petite carrots. You could cut up your own carrots. I just find that these are great. I don't have to clean them or cut them. It's all done for me. So we're going to go ahead and add those. potatoes to this. So let's go ahead and just add some of our onion. I do have some water in a tea kettle that's heating up because we may need to add some more liquid. And if we do, I don't want it to be cold liquid because that will just completely stop the cooking process. So we'll just keep it going with hot water. And then the celery. And we're going to kind of mix this in too a little bit. Your carrots will take a while to cook. Even the little ones this size are still going to take a while. So let's just kind of get those in there. Okay. And then for our potatoes, so it's going to need just a little more water. So our meat is underneath there. Okay. All right. So I just added enough that everything is covered. There's not really any room to add any more to that. So we're just going to put the lid on and we're going to go, I'm going to give it 2 hours and then I'll check and see how everything is doing. So don't take the lid off, just leave it on there. So 2 more hours and then we'll check it and see where we're at. So our roast and veggies have been cooking an additional 2 hours, which is a total of 6 hours from the beginning. So we're just going to check these. I'm just going to use a fork. And these potatoes, yeah, the potatoes are done. And usually the carrots are the tricky ones because they're so dense. Oh yeah, they're done as well. So we're just going to turn that off. And then what I'm going to do is dish up some of this broth. And we'll make a little bit of gravy. So I'm just going to make a very small amount for right now. So, and then we'll also just put a little bit in a dish. And there's no set measurement for this, so this is just some cornstarch. And we won't need a lot because there's not that much in there. So we're just going to add a little bit of cornstarch to the liquid here and mix this in. So this basically makes what's called a slurry. You don't want to just put it into the pan in case it were to clump. So it's better just to put it into a small dish. And then you can control how much you put in. So we'll see. And since this was hot from cooking, it's not going to take it very long to get to a boil. So just going to get a whisk here. And it's boiling. So I'm just going to pour a little bit in there. And that is done. That is how quick that is. So if you wanted it a little thicker, you could always add just a little bit more cornstarch. There we go. going to just pull out these vegetables. Just put them into a dish because the meat is on the bottom. So let's just get out as much as we can here. Right. Let's see where we are on the meat. Oh yeah, you can see just how it just comes apart. And there's the bone. So you can see it just completely came off the bone, completely clean. So I know there's some more in there. There we go. All right. Well, there's more veggies in there, but I'll dig those out here in a little while. So I'll just move that out of the way. So you can see just how tender that is. See, it just pulls apart, just falls apart. So that's what you're wanting. Now, if your roast was a little bigger than that, because this one was almost 4 pounds. So if you're at that 5, 6, 7 pounds, you're gonna go and cook it for upwards to 8 hours. So easy. This one could have even cooked a little longer. I mean, it's completely done. It's completely fork tender, but you definitely, if you were running errands or got busy, it would be fine to go a little longer than what it did. So let's just get some here in a dish. Just a little pile there. And then get some vegetables. Remember, we got potatoes and carrots and onions, and there's a little bit of celery in there too. There we go. And then we got this gravy here, so we'll just pour some of that over everything. Go. So I call this old school pot roast. So let's just take it. It's gonna be really hot. That's comfort food right there. Absolutely delicious. Wonderful for any Saturday or Sunday through the winter. Good in the summertime too, but a great way to cook something like this in the summer in the crock pot, so you're not heating up your house with your oven all day. But absolutely wonderful. Takes me back to my childhood. So I hope you enjoy. Until next time.